The market has just finished the worst week since September of 2023. Hey there, Tamir from FibonacciTraders.com here. Weekly market recap. Like, subscribe, and without any further ado, let's see the charts. SPY just closed the week and the weekly's lows 3.07% to the downside in 1 week. The worst week on the SPY since September and October last year, and last time SPY ended up the week more than 3% was March 2023. We can see the candles that the bears are getting stronger and stronger each and every week that goes by. Next support is the 480, and the daily we finally closed the 497 gap. We have been talking about this gap long time now. Since beginning of April, we have been talking that the SPY is heading towards this gap over here. Now the next support on the weekly is the 480. Overall bearish on all time frames on the SPY. QQQ ended up the week 5.4% to the downside. Last time it happened, it was October of 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a bearish sentiment. Still not in a bearish market, but as you can see, the FTI helps us control our emotions, and it also helps us to identify the sentiment in multi-time frames, bearish on all time frames. Now the QQQ next support is the 408. Below it, we will see 383. Overall, since the peak of March until the low of this week, 8% to the downside. 8 is a Fibonacci number. SPY, since all-time highs last few weeks ago, 6%. Dow Jones ended up the week on the flat. As you can see, the 382 from support, now resistance. Continuation to the downside, 370s incoming on the Dow Jones. IWM closed the week with another 2.8% to the downside. Overall, in the last 3 weeks, the IWM just lost just below 10% in just 3 weeks. The same gains, it took it 3 months, just wiped out in 3 weeks. 3 months, 3 weeks. 3 is a Fibonacci number. Everything surrounds Fibonacci, especially in trading. And look where the IWM just found support. On the higher border of the yellow zone, the 192. This area was a very important area of resistance. It was support over here. January till April of 2022. Now, once again, January, April 2024. As we always say, it's all about Fibonacci. Fibonacci gives you all the support and resistance for future price action. Learn how to use it. Halving or no halving. Bitcoin on the weekly holding above the 63K. As you can see in the past 6-7 weeks already, holding above this area of support, the 63K. Breaking below, we will see 55, 49, and 43. Ignore the news, ignore everything. All you need to do is put the FTI in your chart. Look at the FTI, follow it, put some trend lines, and you will get the proper roadmap for future price action and everything that you need. For now, Bitcoin just sideways move. We said few weeks ago that the same sideways move we had over here during the end of 2023, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, only on the 10th week, it made a move. We are now 7 weeks of sideways move. Should we wait another 2-3 weeks? For now, we are waiting. Ethereum struggling to keep its head above the yellow zone, the 3100 from support, now resistance, still holding above this blue trend line. As you can see, this blue trend line helps us identify the higher lows since October. For now, Ethereum is still in an uptrend, but look at this, we are bearish, which means if we want to buy Ethereum or crypto, we need to listen to this. small table until it becomes at least 3 out of 4 time frames green, we need to do nothing. Mara ended up Friday with 9.8% to the upside, but as you can see, we've been talking about Mara, about this double top, multi-top scenario in the past few months or so. Broke below the yellow zone, the weekly yellow zone, the most important zone of support and resistance according to the FTI, and in this case, the most important area of support. It was resistance. Look left, resistance, resistance, broke to the upside, support, support, boom, broke to the downside. Now with the doji, after this pullback, it's not even a pullback, it's 60% crash. You can call it a crash. On Mara, we have a doji, and we know that the doji signals the most significant, it's the most significant signal of what might come, a trend reversal. We can start taking long on Mara upon breaking above the 1740. Riot, 10% to the upside on Friday, same as Mara after this crash since the peak just 1.5 months ago, almost 57-58% to the downside. Now the 780 is holding strong. Look at this. Mara is green. Riot is green. Now all we need to do is wait for a break above the 1020, and then we can start taking long on Riot towards the 12 and then 1330. CLSK on the weekly broke 2 weeks ago, 2 consecutive weeks, broke inside, and Friday with the 6% to the upside managed to keep its head above the yellow zone. Got a bounce of the 50% retracement. Now let's see continuation above last week's highs. We can start taking long position towards 20 and then back to the 2490, breaking below the 14. We will see 1140 and then 840 to the downside. Like, subscribe, don't go anywhere. We have many more names to talk about. KRE holding the 46 area. The 46 area is the 50% retracement Fibonacci. Here, resistance, support, 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 support. We are bullish on all time frames on the KRE. All we need is 2-3 days above the 48 and we can start taking our long position back to the 51 area and then 54.50. MAGS, Magnificent 7 ETF. Look at this weekly. 1 week, almost 8%, 7.7% to the downside, just wiped out, and we are back 2 months. 1 week, just wiped out 2 months of gains. And where price ended up? 618. Fibonacci retracement. Look at this. It's all about Fibonacci and trend lines, ladies and gentlemen. Check the links in the description below. Start today your road, your journey into become a professional trader and a consistent, profitable trader. Learn how to trade with Fibonacci and trend lines. It's all about Fibonacci and trend lines. This is not magic. It's not coincidence. It's all about Fibonacci and trend lines. SOXX on the weekly breaking below and inside this uptrend channel, but it broke this uptrend line, broke inside the weekly yellow zone. We got ourselves the sell signal, first sell signal on SOXX since July of 2023, bearish on all time frames. So if you ask yourself, is this the time to start buying SOXX? The answer, according to the FTI, is purely no. You are in a bearish sentiment on all time frames. Of course, it's only my opinion based on the FTI. One click away and you have everything that you want on your chart. All the answers, where price might be heading next. 192, 181, 167. Gold on the weekly, inside candle, 2 consecutive weeks of indecision. Last week, the second week of April, we got ourselves a doji. This week, inside candle. Now let's see continuation above the 2430, and we will see 2600 and 2800 to the upside. Silver, 2 consecutive weeks of basically no movement at all, no price action whatsoever. Closed and opened and closed the week basically the same price. Now the 2540 is the support, 2724 is the resistance. Natural gas, look at this, you don't need anything on your chart, just support and resistance. The 151 area on the weekly, very important area of support, breaking below, and it's the end. For natural gas, it will go to the 1, which is all-time lows. Crude oil on the weekly, we can see we had some nice uptrend. Now some kind of a retracement. We can take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high, and as you can see, Fibonacci gives you all the support and resistance for future price action. Now you can also take it to here, because this is the recent high, this is the recent low. Just learn Fibonacci and you will see everything that you want, and you will see things you never saw before. We have this trend line, look at this. Try to break above it and went back down below. This is why I always say one candle does not change the overall sentiment, and the sentiment, the long-term sentiment on the crude oil is still downtrend since June of 2022. Now let's see if crude oil next week can bounce back up above the 87. We will see 93 XLF. The financial sector ETF on the weekly, we can put FTI, and look at this, it gives us the support. 39.90 is the support, below it 38, this yellow zone. XLU, let's clean the chart. XLU holding above the 64 area 4 consecutive weeks, it's the support. Before it, 3 weeks it was resistance. It also was support over here. Long continuation towards the 66.50 and then 70 to the upside. Overall, as you can see, XLU bullish on all time frames. Now let's talk about Netflix. Post earnings, 9% to the downside overall. Closed the week almost 11% to the downside. Bearish on all time frames on Netflix. Broke this 574 area. We can take Fibonacci a little bit tighter. Entered the weekly yellow zone. Next is the 50% retracement, the 543. Below it, we will see 520. We also have this trend line. And look at this. This trend line just got broken to the downside. Apple, 6.5% to the downside. 6.5% on Apple in just 1 week. Last time it happened, the closest was September of 2023. We are still below the threat of this multi-month double top scenario, breaking below the 164. We will see 154 and then 142, closing the 146 daily gap. We have a gap over here, the 146, below the 164, and in my opinion, the 146 gap will get here, and we will see this gap getting filled pretty quick. AMD, one of the worst wicks on AMD ever. 10% to the downside. I don't remember AMD giving us, we have it here, January of 2022. Since then, the closest one was June of 2023, but it was 8.4%. AMD, 10.2% to the downside. Now 141 is the next support, below it 116. If you want to go long on AMD, ladies and gentlemen, you have nothing bullish on AMD. We can even take this trend line, and as you can see, the next support is the 116 together with this trend line. Nvidia, 10% to the downside on Friday. Overall, 13.6% to the downside on the week. Entered, closed on the low of the week. Last time it happened on Nvidia, cannot find this kind of candle. Super bearish on Nvidia. Nvidia just wiped out 2 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Just wiped out in 1 week. Next support 712, 650 on the daily. This gap is closed. Next gap is the 690 on Nvidia, and as you can see, broke to the downside. Downtrend channel. There is nothing bullish about it. This is super bearish. You can also take the FTI and look at this. It gives you all the support and all the resistance below the 762, below last week's lows. This gap incoming super fast. SMCI 23% on Friday, broke below the downtrend channel. News or no news? We knew that SMCI is having a very bad month since the peak of March. We have been talking about this downtrend channel for a few weeks now. Now, news follows. Close the gap over here. Just 1 day. Close this gap. Next gap, we have the 334. The same price action. If price action gave us this kind of bull run, never say never. It can also give you bear's run to the downside. Never say never. We have talked about also about a potential head and shoulders. If you are a pattern trader, we said we have a head and shoulders kind of scenario. Now look at this. On the weekly, lower highs, lower lows. We've been talking about these candles, about this downtrend on SMCI since it broke the 1010. Now, inside the weekly yellow zone, next is the 630. Meta 4.4% to the downside on Friday, struggling to hold above the 484. 2 weeks, 9% to the downside on Meta. Next support is the 450. Tesla, finally, we can say, still not. Look at this. This gap needs to get filled. Tesla Tuesday. Reminder, we have earnings coming up Tuesday after the bell. Look how trend lines acts as support and resistance. This is all you need. Trend lines. This is a bad support, by the way. Yes, there is such a thing as a bad support. This trend line was here, resistance, right? For the lower highs. So from resistance, it became support. But once it became support, it doesn't mean it's a good support. Support does not mean a good thing. This is support for the lower lows. Still low, 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 low. Close the day. Slight below it. Try to close the gap, but this gap is still open. Where Tesla might be heading next? Bad reports, not bad reports, bad reaction. Ladies and gentlemen, if the market will react bearish on Tesla's reports, on Tesla's numbers, we will see 72 incoming on Tesla. Microsoft on the weekly, 5.4% on the weekly. Last time it happened to Microsoft, it was January 2023. The closest one is here, July of 2023. Also here, September of 2023. All across the board, we are experiencing the worst week since September, October 2023. What happened after September, October 2023? We got ourselves this bull run, but it doesn't mean that we are heading into a bull run because we are entering. Once again, thank you very much for joining and watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. More videos coming up during this weekend. Until the next video, stay safe.